We call it the core dynamic or the core tension, that friction that's happening between those two parts, which is that misalignment is what is the cause of the problem.
Hey guys, welcome to our SoulFam Podcast, where I interview space holders from all over the world. I am your host, my name is Karolina, and I am the connection catalyst. I help spiritual entrepreneurs experience deeper connection with themselves, with others, and with the universe. Today on the show, we have Paloma White, the soul-based sleep coach. Welcome to the show, Paloma. How are you doing?
Hi, Karolina. Thank you so much. I'm great. Really happy to be here.
I am super happy that you're here as well because I'm excited to talk to you about sleep and insomnia and all these wonderful things soon. But first, I would love if you could chat a little bit about yourself and your story and what has brought you to your purpose of being a soul based sleep coach and generally your spiritual journey. Where did it start and how did it start? Because, yeah, I'm always curious about people's stories because there is a lot of cool things that we can talk about based on the story. So please share if you're happy with that.
Yes, absolutely. Well, first of all, I'm half American and half Spanish. My mom is from Spain and my dad is from the States. I grew up in Arizona. I was born in Arizona, grew up in Colorado. So I had a very multicultural upbringing because I spent my summers in Spain. And I was and am a very sensitive person, a highly sensitive person, with a deep interest in my own inner world and emotions and psychology. Um, Today, I recognize these as spiritual gifts, but when I was a child, there was no context around me for recognizing that. In fact, this interest that I had was discouraged. And so that influenced, of course, the path that I chose for my studies. I chose international relations, international law, sustainable development. Um, but really, all along, and I knew from a young age that what I really wanted was to study psychology. Um, And so when I when I finished my studies, after getting 3 degrees from 3 prestigious universities, I got into my first job, uh, my first kind of real career job in international relations, and ended up very quickly having a meltdown. All my anxiety and depression really flared up, and it got so bad that I needed to quit that job. I went into hiding, really, like under my covers, basically for 3 months, just trying to, not sure what I was doing at that point. That was my lowest low. I needed to get professional help, so I went to a therapist. I was very lucky to land in the office of a woman who was offering a process very similar to a process that I'm actually also certified in, the completion process, which is inner child healing. And that was life changing to connect with my inner child, to be an adult for her, for at the time it was like a big sister relationship that I developed with her. And over months and years, that I just experienced incredible change and evolution in my levels of emotional resiliency, my ability to feel joy, happiness, to pursue my authentic path, the courage really to be myself. Um, and that ended up with me deciding to quit the career path that I was on, that I'd worked so hard for. And so I went into social work, which was kind of it felt like a drop in prestige. But really, what it did is it allowed me to flourish. After that, I really flourished in that job. I was finally in my element, using my gifts as a sensitive person, as an empath. And I was there for 3 months, or sorry, 3 years in that job. And then I knew that there was something even more aligned for me. I couldn't put my finger on it yet, but I did ask the universe for clarity. And it came a few months later, one day at the gym. Actually, I was just working out, and I got this instant download of clarity that I wanted to pursue life coaching, and working one-on-one with people, helping them to heal and to live more authentic and happy lives. And not shortly after that, I discovered, through a series of synchronicities, the Academy for Soul-Based Coaching. Um, I also have to mention that in this time is when I also discovered Teal Swan, and I binged all of her videos. I've
Yeah, it's
watched
her.
all of her material.
It's her beautiful picture in the background you got, right?
Exactly.
It's her picture, a frequency painting.
That's one of her frequency paintings, and it's the frequency of synchronicity. Yeah. So I discovered Teal Swan, watched all of her videos that really, really helped me deepen my own healing, make some incredible evolutions in terms of my levels of life satisfaction and alignment. I discovered the Academy for Soul-Based Coaching, which is founded by a woman from the Netherlands named Annemiek van Helsdingen, um, who is today a very good friend and collaborator of mine. We work together almost daily to help the Academy to grow. But at the time, I just remember watching that first video that she did on explaining what soul-based coaching was, and fell instantly in love. And so I decided to join her at the time 9-month program to become certified. At that same time, so this is 2018, I also did the training to become a completion process practitioner with Teal in Utah. So it was a really fantastic year for me of incredible change, really coming into alignment. And that, yeah, so in the past 4 years, I've been deepening these skills and offering a lot of completion process in the beginning years. And in the past 2 years, I'm dedicating myself fully to the soul-based coaching, for which I am also a trainer. So Annemiek asked me not long after becoming certified, if I would like to assist in her trainings, and that then evolved into me becoming a full-blown trainer, running my own pods in her year-long program, which is called Invoke Your Client's Magic.
That sounds amazing. I love this name. Invoke your client's magic. Awesome.
And yeah, yeah, invoke your client's magic, because that's exactly what a soul-based coach gets really good at doing. And I will talk more about that because it's really
Mhm.
interesting if you'd like to know.
I would absolutely love if you could share more about invoking your client's magic because I really resonate with this name because oftentimes people reach out to different healers and coaches and they're like, hear me, here I am with my problems and you heal me. And it's like, no, you heal yourself. I'm here to guide you. I'm here to help you invoke your own magic and your own healing abilities to make changes in your life by yourself. I'm just here to lead you, not to actually heal you, right? So a healer is not someone who heals you. So a healer is someone who helps you to heal yourself. And so I really resonate with this name. So please share more about it.
Yes, absolutely. Um, so what you're saying is, so we hear it all the time, right? Like, I'm a healer and I hold space for you to heal yourself. What soul-based coaching is, it's a modality that um, really refines that, or should I say, takes that to the next level. And the reason it does that is because what we learn as soul-based coaches is to hold a clean space, meaning that we're asking something called clean questions, which makes sure that none of my stuff, right, positive, negative, um, my expertise, my inner wisdom, my interpretations, um, none of that is added into the space, because I'm asking questions that place 100% of the awareness on things that my client is already mentioning that are coming from within them. So it's almost like a very unpolluted space for them to immerse themselves in their own unique soul knowing or inner knowing, their inner wisdom. And that presents itself in the form of symbols and metaphors. We all have like an inner metaphor landscape. You could think of it like the blueprint level of our mind, body, soul system. And what I do is I simply ask questions about these symbols as they present themselves. And these questions help to kind of flesh them out, give them attention, give them a space to be seen. And then they start to change. These symbols inside of this living, breathing landscape that is a person's inner world starts to shift, precisely because part of the space holding that we're doing as soul-based coaches is very deliberately letting go of outcome, letting go of any agenda, letting go of judgment, um, and infusing that space with this feminine energy, this trust that the system, this ecosystem, knows exactly what needs to happen and what it would like to happen. Yeah. So really, my job is to help a person explore their own inner world and an issue that they may be having, and especially a desire that they may be having that they want. So the whole process is always desired outcome oriented, meaning that it's an oriented, right? It's the whole process is unfolding based on my clients' their own stated desired outcomes, which means we ask a lot. What would you like to have happen? And me, the coach, I'm letting go of what I think needs to happen, even though I may have parts of myself that have ideas or suggestions. They may think they know what's going on and what would really serve the client. I'm very deliberately leaving that out and instead placing all of the attention, and guiding the attention to these symbols and finding out more about them, because they're going to end up being what leads the way to the change in the most efficient way, because it makes sense to that system. And because it's desired outcome oriented, the agency always rests 100% with my client. So I'm very, very consciously letting go of the responsibility to decide what should happen, what the solution is going to be. I'm very often surprised myself. No two change processes are alike. That's why it's so lovely for me as well, because I'm always open to being surprised, and often am. It's very humbling and also very fun and playful to get to explore, like be privy and witness people's inner worlds in this way. It's very sacred, but it also activates this childlike fascination as well.
This process sounds freaking amazing. I'm super curious about it. It really sounds like fun because you can really explore yourself, you can explore others. It's really really cool. So is this one of the methods that you're using also for handling sleep issues?
It is the method that I'm using. So I 100% I only use soul-based coaching these days. And it's a framework for change is what is it. It can be applied to any issue at all. And I've chosen to specialize in sleep issues for a number of reasons. It's an issue that so many people struggle with, and that can be very frustrating. And that's so essential to any other healing that one wants to do. You have to be in a rested space. You have to be healthy in your body and in your mind. So it's kind of a prerequisite, right? And if you're rested, any healing work or inner work that you do will be so much easier. So for that reason, and
Mm-hmm.
because I love sleep myself. It's interestingly enough, this is not an issue that I have, which is kind of a, different, because a lot of coaches or healers will help people through issues that they themselves have overcome. But one of the things about being a soul-based coach is because we're leaving ourselves so completely out of it, I can help anybody with anything, whether or not I know anything about that problem personally. But that said, I happen to really love sleep and everything that is associated with sleep. So, yin energy, the dreamscape, surrender, traveling through, like, just, the spiritual realm that is sleep. So that just really it activates that fascination in me. Yeah.
That's really great. And, I believe, of course, it's good to coach people through something that you've already gone through, but also I believe in healing through experiencing the opposite. So, for someone who really loves sleep and is embodying this like deep love to sleeping and is sleeping very well, they can also transfer this energy of like how it feels to have a good sleep, how it feels to enjoy the sleep, right, to the person who maybe struggles with it. So I believe there is two ways how we can help someone by embodying what they don't have, for example. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. So what do you feel like are the main reasons of why people cannot sleep?
What I've seen through working with people with this is it's very often connected to safety, or a lack of safety and trust and surrender. And that safety is, it could be related to a specific phobia that people have related to sleep. I had a client who was afraid of sleeping alone, so she could sleep fine as long as there was someone else sleeping with her. But the moment she had to sleep alone, she couldn't. And that issue we were able to resolve in just one session, to the point where the next, a couple days later, when we were talking about it, she was saying that, it's weird. It's like that fear was never there. I can remember it, of course, but it's so fully integrated and alchemized that it's just really weird to not have that fear at all anymore. Um, so that it could be a specific phobia. I know people have fear of nightmares. A lot of people wake up with panic attacks, which makes sense because when we're falling asleep, our systems are letting down their guards, and we are susceptible to anything that's unhealed that wants to come up. And it's very, it makes sense that we would wake up with that anxiety. And so for someone like this, what the coaching is likely to accomplish is that in the session itself, whatever that intense anxiety is about will be integrated, and or the person will develop an inner resources for being with, and writing out that anxiety if they do wake up with it. So being in a completely different relationship with it, like connecting with inner resources, essentially is what the coaching offers. Like very, very unique to them, custom to them, um, uh, keys or these symbols, because that's, we work with the symbolic realm. So it's like literally like a symbol or a metaphor that will help the person instantly connect to the vibration of surrender or trust or safety or feeling comfortable, feeling cozy. So it's often about these kinds of vibrations. Um, Yeah, and I was sharing, yeah, it's like a lot about that fear of letting go. So for a lot of people, it has to do with the mind having a hard time letting go of the day, letting go of the worries, wanting to use the nighttime to try to fix a problem, or ruminating over something. I had one client who realized that that's what was going on. And so what ended up happening for her is she's like, I need to take my to-do list and literally take it out of my bedroom and put it in another room. So what happened in that session is her mind made this shift from associating bed as a place to think to associating her bed with a place to let go and relax. So it's a lot about like changing those associations, like really rewiring and repatterning the subconscious mind, in such a way that it is conducive to sleep instead of hindering it.
Yeah, I can really relate to what you were saying about taking all your problems to bed in a way, because yeah, it's kind of like, okay, you lay down and then you have all this space and time to think about everything and think about your day and think about what you're going to do tomorrow. So I can really relate to changing the association of, okay, this is not the place to do this, right? And even I feel like it's important to even have, like, for example, when you work at home, to have the office as like a separate room and to have a bedroom as a separate room, so that you in bedroom you have this vibe of like chilling and going to sleep and it's all relaxed and everything, and this energy of like motivation and determination and work in completely other room, other space, so that you can bring two separate energies. And so I really encourage everyone who listens to think about it. And even if you have the desk in your bedroom, then maybe at least put it on the other side of the room so that this motivated energy can be on one side and you relaxed can be on the other side, because really this energy of like doing and motivation can distract you from actually letting go. And I feel like for me, what helped me massively with sleep, and I don't know if you maybe what's your opinion on it, is this: first of all, I relax my whole body before sleeping. Like I really focus on each part of my body, and with breathing I just release the tension. So do a little bit of a breath work there, releasing tension from every part of my body as much as I can, sinking into the bed. And then once I watched this video about sleep, where they said that someone from, I don't know who it was, but they made research so that the people from military can fall asleep better. And so, what's the best visualization for them? So sometimes I use this if I cannot sleep, where I'm relaxing my whole body and breathing deeply and so on. And then I imagine myself either on a kayak in the middle of a peaceful ocean, where I'm just like sleeping there, or I imagine myself on a hammock, like black hammock in a dark room. And then I'm just, through this visualization, I'm able to be more in like a calm peaceful state, and then it's easier to fall asleep. So that's my method of if I cannot calm my mind, I use this, and it works quite well for me personally. So what are the other methods apart from, changing the association from this is a place to think, to this is a place to relax, and maybe kind of visualizations and breathing, like I do? What are other methods for getting better sleep?
Yeah, it's really interesting that soon after choosing this specialization, my mom actually sent me that same article that you were describing. Um, and definitely, so that really illustrates the power of a visualization of inner images. And and that's why there are also so many beautiful guided meditations for falling asleep, like sleep talk downs. I love these and I use them a lot myself. And so what soul-based coaching does is it kind of takes that a step further, because it allows a person to develop their own metaphor or landscape, their visualization that's coming from deep within their soul, from like a few dimensions upstream. That image is coming to them, and it's so unique to them. And for example, I had a client, it was like sleeping on the rings of Saturn. I mean, I never could have come up with that for her, right? Like I had to hold space and ask the questions that I asked to allow that image to float through and into her awareness. Um, and isn't how unique is that? How precious is that, right? And let's see, if I had another client who her the landscape that she found herself in was also like this field at night, with like a sandy ground, which is interesting because for me personally that wouldn't feel relaxing, but for her it was, like a sandy ground. And these energies that were the negative thoughts were like figures, like dark figures, like trying to disturb her. And so I asked her, and what would you like to have happen when it's like this? And what came out was that she wanted like a protection. And I asked her, what kind of protection is that protection? And it turned into this energetic cloud, um, that that those figures couldn't, it actually even repelled them. They couldn't even get close to it, and they weren't interested in it. Like the figures themselves, kind of like once that cloud was there, they're like, oh, let me go somewhere else. So she found herself suddenly very undisturbed, and she could feel that safety and surrender to sleep. She was a client who needs medication in order to access deep REM sleep. Without it, she doesn't go into REM sleep, I think, due to bipolar disorder she's diagnosed with. And what she was sharing with me afterwards is that, she's not ready to just quit her medication right now. But what's shifted for her is that whereas she thought that, okay, well, I just have to take this medication now the rest of my life, she's realized that, okay, the medication is offering me kind of artificially that protective energy. But now I know that I can uh, cultivate that myself. I have this energetic cloud that comes from deep within my soul, And simply by being with it every day a little bit, it's going to grow and grow and grow to the point where I know that eventually, some point down the line, I will no longer need this medication.
That's amazing.
So that's just kind of an illustration of the power of working with our own inner wisdom.
That sounds
Yeah.
great. Yeah, and I also feel like that's so spot on what you said, that medication gives you the safety. It's like, okay, I'm turning to this, so now this is my savior, and now I'm okay. But actually, we can pretty much get out of most of our illnesses or diseases without medication. And maybe the medication can be the first step to calm us down and to feel safe. But once we have this safety, root chakra, grounded perspective, like, okay, now we can actually find some other holistic approaches to healing that, right?
And then I also had a client, a woman whose reason that she couldn't sleep through the night was due to hot flashes, which is very common, of course, with menopause. But also I have a client who's younger and who was struggling with hot flashes due to a medication. And through just one session, she was able to, immersing herself in this beautiful inner landscape of hers, where all of these different things happened. Um, she was able to, that like steam, because the hot flashes presented themselves like a steam inside of her system, like going through her, like almost like a geyser. What are they called? Geyser. I can't think of the word right now. But in any case, and that's my metaphor. She didn't use that metaphor. But in any case, she, through all these things that happened, um, she was explaining to me later that she's only waking up one or two times a night now instead of 5 or 6 times a night due to hot flashes. Um, so that's another example. And I had this beautiful session with an artist. Let's see if I can remember. Yeah, she was her sleep landscape was like sleeping in the clouds in a castle made of clouds in the sky. And um, and what happens throughout this course of a session, and they're 60 minutes long, is that we explore the desired outcome and what that looks like and feels like. But then normally the problem aspects, the thing that's getting in the way, also presents itself, because it's like, well, wait, this is the problem. This is the part of me that doesn't want to fall asleep or that's afraid. Um, and um, I can't remember exactly, but there was her inner child entered that scene, and she really wanted innocence and to play and to be free. Um, and she was on a field, and but then there were these storm clouds that would come and want to, like, they're very threatening storm clouds, and they made her feel very scared, the child. Um, and so I asked him, what would you like to have happen when there are storm clouds like this? And there was a mountain of wisdom and a wind that could come from that mountain of wisdom and blow the storm clouds away. And then there was an ocean, and there was a boat, a sailboat on the shore of that ocean, and the child wanted to get into the boat. And then the adult, and then eventually also wanted to end up be on that boat with her, and they sailed off and could sleep together. Um, and again, this is one session and she wrote me the next day saying, I had the best sleep of my life last night. I was completely mind blown. Um, it's like it's just like it goes so deep into the deepest layers of our somatic and psychological beings that the change is anchored, is fully anchored there.
That sounds absolutely amazing. Yeah, this is awesome. I've been working with some people with insomnia as well, and I've been working with them with the completion process where they went back to childhood to all these stresses. And I found that pretty much every time that I've worked with these kind of people, it was about some kind of stressful things, like maybe subconscious stress of, caring about your work too much, or maybe a subconscious stress of like having a baby because your partner wants to have a baby and you don't, or whatever else it was. But anytime it was actually something, some kind of tension inside of their body that when released it was way better to actually not stress before you sleep and to actually let yourself fall asleep,
Exactly.
literally fall into other dimensions, right? When you
Mhm.
sleep. And I feel like it's so important and crucial to talk about this because, as you said, so many people struggle with it. And sleep is one of the most important factors influencing our health. So if we don't get enough sleep, it literally affects all kinds of areas of our life. Because if we don't have this energy, this charge up in a way during the night, then how can we be productive and do anything else? And I feel like everyone has found it when they slept maybe like 1 or 2 hours and then they went on with their day, then they were not productive. And oftentimes people get angry when they don't get enough sleep, or they're just like mean, because you cannot really be in your fullest, in your highest potential if you're tired, right? So
Definitely not,
it's
no.
beautiful that you're helping people fall asleep. And do you also recommend people do these techniques, for example, like when they have trouble sleeping, to not sleep for some time, like to try not to sleep, for example, for 24 or 36 hours, and then kind of like make it so long that then the body is so tired that they will actually easier fall asleep?
Yeah, interesting question. I don't ever offer advice. It's kind of part of being a soul-based coach is that we very deliberately don't do that. Um, but what does happen is that if one of these kind of more like these techniques are going to be central to that person healing their sleep issue, then they're going to come into that realization fully fully themselves through the process. It could be that their body needs a supplement, it could be about something that they should be eating or should stop eating or should stop drinking, for example. Whatever that is, it's either going to become clear to them, and then not only will it become clear, but it will become integrated into their system in such a way that it's a logical thing for them to do in that system. So there won't be any accountability necessary or any willpower, or it won't be conscious, but it will be in their subconscious to the point where it's like all of a sudden their behavior change, where they just don't feel like staying up too late or doing those behaviors that were hindering their sleep. Their behavior just starts to change to the point where it's so subconscious that they don't even necessarily notice it themselves. And so I get a lot of people, it's like I ask them, I'm like, and it's only at that point that I ask them a week later that they're like, oh yeah, I'm not doing this anymore. I am doing this now. Um, that's why I like to say that this is so efficient. It's like the most efficient way to facilitate change. Yeah,
Yeah, and I also feel like it's because it's them coming up with the answers. So
exactly.
they cannot just reject it and disown it and deny it and say like, no, no one will tell me what to do, or oh, this external person from me told me to do this, and maybe I'm not gonna do it. But if it comes from yourself, it's like, hey, it's me who has decided that this is the way that it should be. So of
Mhm.
course there could be some internal resistance and some other parts of you disagreeing with it, but then you ultimately know that it comes from you.
Yeah,
So it's not like you can be like, I don't listen to this person. It's like, well, you're listening to yourself.
yeah, and
So
and
you better
that's
do what you tell yourself to do, right?
yeah, and that internal resistance, which absolutely could be there because we all made up of parts, right? We have parts of ourselves that maybe want something, and others want something else, and there's that. So what's in soul-based coaching, I've gotten really good at holding space for we call it the core dynamic or the core tension, that friction that's happening between those two parts, which is that misalignment is what is the cause of the problem. And though those parts coming into alignment or integrating or something happening with that is what's going to cause the change that they want. And what I've gotten really good is at developing their inner landscape in such a way that that core tension is very palpable in them. So for a while, it's not going to feel really comfortable. But I just simply very calmly, very gently, as I'm holding this yin infused energy, this space, I'm asking, and when this part wants this, and this part needs this, and you're afraid, like kind of collecting all the information. And when all of this, what would you like to have happen? And so it's like it's causing that system to look at itself, look at this disharmony, and and then often after a little bit of a pause, there's just this thing that'll happen, or this resource that will present itself, or some shift that will happen. It's very magical to witness. That it's the whole landscape comes into a new configuration, one that actually supports their sleep, that makes sleep logical, right? We help the system to change in such a way that the sleep is like a no-brainer. Because what, sleep is a no-brainer in a way.
Of
Yeah.
course. And it's funny that you use the expression of no brainer because I just thought about how this is kind of like harmonizing your right and left hemisphere of your brain because your right hemisphere, emotional hemisphere, might have some emotional like attachments to sleeping or not sleeping or whatever. But then you say the logical thing to do is to sleep because
Mm-hmm.
one of the methods that I'm using is called Psyche and it works with balancing two hemispheres of your brain so that you create this whole brain state where your two hemispheres in a way agree on something. So it's funny that you say that it's like it's logical for me to get more sleep once you handle this emotional part that tells you, oh no, I gotta get stressed now, or I gotta this, or I gotta that, or whatever else is this tension there. Then you're like, oh yeah, of course I'm gonna sleep because it's actually good for me and it's a reasonable thing to do. So yeah, this is beautiful.
Yeah, and once those parts that weren't feeling safe enough start to feel safe due to parts of the system that can provide that protection, or there's simply there's the new information that they become aware of that makes it that, like, oh, okay, I am safe, or that, like those rings of Saturn, right, or that protective energy cloud. Once they have that, then they're very happy. They want themselves to sleep.
Perfect. So I have one quick question about just for all these skeptical people who might be there. I'm just feeling into the audience and what they could ask. It's like, for example, if you don't know all these different methods and all these different supplements that help for sleep, how can a client know that this is the method that they should be using if they don't previously if they haven't like checked things out or if they haven't read anything? And I kind of feel what the answer is, but I feel like some of the people might not know. It's like, how do I know which supplement to take if I don't have any logical knowledge or explanation about the methods for sleeping?
Yeah, great question. I love it. Well, the thing to understand about soul-based coaching is that it's energy work, with your consciousness, like with all the different like dimensions of your being: physical, emotional, psychological, spiritual, energetic, right? It's really efficient energy work. And so, of course, your entire vibration is changing relative to sleep. And so that's why I also love this painting behind me, because one of the side effects of soul-based coaching is synchronicities firing like crazy. um, and so, what is likely to happen, let's say it is necessary, it is like a biological thing. I heard the story of a person who, it was related to gluten, their sleep issue. And maybe that's not something that became obvious in the session. But what might happen is that a few days later, they, through synchronicity, an article shows up in their, on their computer that's like, talking about how gluten can affect sleep, and then they come into that realization. Or so basically, like if anything doesn't happen, like synchronicity makes sure that whatever needs to happen, that hasn't happened yet in the session, will present itself for the client.
Hmm. Okay.
So it's like it's very much a trust based approach, because even in holistic healing, it's like we can get hung up on, like, what do I need to do? It's very yang energy based, about forcing and making and having that knowing. Soul based coaching, we're leaning into the mystery, into the not knowing, to the chaos, these yin energy qualities, and letting change unfold, as opposed to trying to make change happen.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. This was an amazing conversation. And for all the people who maybe struggle with sleep and insomnia and would like to reach out to you, what's the best way to contact you?
Yeah, the easiest way is to go to my website, which is simply my name, palomawhite.com. All the information you need is there. There's also a link to book your session. My email is on there if you want to ask me any questions. Yeah, that's the simplest way. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook, Paloma White Coaching and Healing. Hmm.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your
Yeah.
beautiful wisdom. It's really, really has been great. And are you running something on Monday that you mentioned, just so that people maybe can connect with
Yeah.
you?
Yeah. So, apart from being a coach and working one on one with my clients, I'm also a trainer of this modality. It's a year-long certification program, um, and run by the Academy for Soul-Based Coaching. And we also have an 8-week foundations course called The Feminine in Coaching, and that's starting in March. And in preparation of that event, we're offering a free masterclass called um, Boundaries Magic, Boundary Magic and Coaching. So it's meant for any healers, therapists, coaches, anyone who works one on one with people, to step into this magic of soul based coaching, kind of learn some of the foundational tools that we use, these questions that we ask, and because it makes such a difference when you're a healer. Like even when I'm doing a completion process session, I will be using the soul based coaching questions and the framework, because it allows me to release that responsibility that can trip us up and be so uncomfortable as healers. It's just really powerful for, like, the boundaries are baked into the modality itself, if that makes sense. So if anyone wants kind of like an easy way to quickly integrate better
Mm,
boundaries as a coach, then this masterclass is going to be perfect for that. Yes, and it's the live event is on Monday.
amazing. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you, Carolina. It's been a pleasure.
Amazing. This sounds great. And I feel like a lot of healers and coaches need these boundaries. So it's really
Yeah,
spot on topic because, you sometimes can take on someone else's energy, and that's not very good
absolutely.
when you do that and when you don't clear it up. So this is amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for sharing all your knowledge about sleep and insomnia and how to help people who struggle with it. So it's been beautiful to talk to you.
Thank you so much, Carolina. It's been such a pleasure.
Thank you so much, beautiful people, for listening to us. If you'd like to find me, I am The Connection Catalyst on Instagram, and I'm really grateful that you're listening to us. So stay tuned to the next episode.